Each time I think I'm about to step up, I realize there is no such thing, or there is nowhere to step up. Maybe that is why I can't step up, because there is nowhere I can actually step up. Now, Westlands, let's clarify on this properly. You are definitely handicapped society. We have to seal on that. So when you say no, that means it's other way around. It is our no to you. Humanity, let's keep that on mind. Let's keep on mind what their words mean. It is like a mirror effect. Each time they say no to you, actually you are saying no to them. In other words, there is a reason why they cannot accept you. They keep a deep down under secret. Now, I would like to proceed on, since I'm stepping up my ways, to clarify today what on earth are gypsies. All that I can say today it became a bit annoying question, especially because they usually some kind of social group. They ended up to be rather some matter of poverty, question of poverty and neglect, rather than and social acceptance, rather than question of identity. Because if it is a question of identity, then we would be certainly we should be bringing that question equally as, for example, Jewish have been bringing it forward in terms of them not having a homeland and crying about it for 2 millenniums. We can hear that gypsies are actually crying about their homeland. And I'm going to assume that that would be happening because these people existed in some kind of earlier tribunal stages where there was not in question having some kind of state, and therefore accordingly they do not have in their history that level of developed rhetoric, because in substance that is not how earlier people have been living on earth. I would therefore assume that are in question the most native elements of earlier population living on the planet that ended today to be called gypsies. By the look of them, I would also notice that they exist as some kind of combination between Serbs, among Serbia and Serb tribes and India tribes. And they exist in that kind of limbo space because if they're in Serbia, they do not look like that much as the Serbs. And if they're in India, then they do not look that much as Indians. Also in India, it is much more accommodated to have people that would look like Serbs. Being a reason why in India, for example, you can't find people talking about gypsies. While in Europe, you end up talking about gypsies because of their India descent and because they're tribunal. And Europeans simply didn't know how to categorize them, neither didn't know how to relate to them. Fact is that they ended up to be pushed on the edges of statehoods, which have become totalitarian regimes rather, a matter of acceptance by the church and by certain corridors, by certain or rather complex social combination, where there would be a combination of church power and monarchical power. And because India is Buddhism-related culture, they do not have churches. Clearly, it is understandable why they have found themselves outside of the radius of protective veil, either by the churches or by the monarchies, both of them being strongly identity-driven. And this category of population, somehow, we find them outside the protective shield of churches and of monarchies. It is the most peculiar event on the planet, and we need to understand what exactly is happening here, what is the DNA of these people, and why they continue to be treated with profound discrimination, and no one is complaining on their behalf about it. Their voice is not there, their complaint is not that they're being treated as a garbage. And everyone is seeing that as some kind of political correctness or cultural correctness, like some kind of state of normality. It is time to ask Europeans why discrimination versus category of population called Gypsies became that much normal event. Why these people live in stigma, in such stigma, being called Gypsies. What these people actually are, who they are, and why they don't have their state as anyone else. Well, it's time to answer that question before you continue to use that kind of expression and that kind of reference about certain category of population. And we also understand how you are positioned versus these people. And if you are supreme race versus these people, then that will need to be proven as well before you continue to hold yourself as a supreme race versus some kind of people. You will need to actually prove that as well on the ground, rather than just to be presumed. I mean, we are dealing now with people that can hardly be called even humans, rather prevail on the animal side, but we are still going to talk about gypsies? Seriously? Well, let's clarify that particular matter as well. The zoo platform of Earthians. And most of you are declaring yourself as cats and dogs, literally, but then gypsies are lower. Lower like what? Well, you're already a cat, people. What can be lower than that? Europeans, you will need to answer this question. In dictionary, this category of people are described as Roma, Romani, aerial Indian category of population. So I was right. That would be therefore Serbo-Indian mixture. Typical for their nomadic lifestyle. Exactly how I have said. Now, why on earth there is ongoing such sharp discrimination versus such people? Why they continue to be considered as they're not even humans? And why they continue to be treated as not even humans? And why various countries think that having these people as genetic information on their territory is not good enough? Why the mainstream European platform think that these people are not suitable to be enrolled at universities or are not suitable to be given chance in any category as recruiters in various social groups? Why they continue to be treated with such extreme discrimination? Also, one would say in Europe they would have social support. What is missing there is that they need some kind of more confident roundup, so they would be regaining their self-respect. These people are missing self-respect as a matter of long-term being treated like that, and when you appear with such low self-respect, you become prone to be mistreated. Also, this category of population, when isolated like that, can be very vulnerable and very weak to defend itself. If they don't have social support, end up being basically straight people, because they don't have sometimes enough of inner strength to stand up for themselves. Societies should, however, see these people much more rich in variety of skills and profiles, and should not continue to discriminate them to such extent. I therefore think that United Nations will need to be addressed with this problem, and these people should organize and request from United Nations a status of cultural group, social status within the nations, and admit it within the regular historic heritage of various territories, which by a definition would be associated to earlier tribunal societies inclusive. There is no need to provide that much stigma to these people when they are matching your historic heritage. Serbia, I think Serbia is not discriminating them, although they are still being called like that, they're still being treated like that. It's not being done enough to understand what really is going on here.